What if the Olympic Committee decided to go absolutely wild, pulling our Ice Age ancestors straight out of prehistory to compete? Would million-dollar training regimens and carbon-plated shoes that let modern humans glide on air get obliterated by the survival instincts of hunters who once squared off against woolly mammoths? Don't go thinking, oh come on, these prehistoric guys would get bounced at the door before they ever set foot on the field. Dial back the condescension. Strip away the rulebook and look purely at raw physiology, and you'll find there are events where the gold medal was practically engraved with their names before the starting gun ever fired. They didn't grind through training for prize money or sponsorship deals. They pushed their bodies to the limit because slacking off on any given day meant their entire tribe starved, or they themselves ended up as a saber-toothed tiger's next meal. Let's see what unfolds when primal instinct goes toe-to-toe with the pinnacle of sports science, and who truly holds the crown. The first arena where ancestral power announces itself is the wrestling and weightlifting floor. Wipe those chiseled gym guys from your mind, because we're about to introduce the Neanderthals, the prehistoric world's genuine flesh and blood fortresses. Biologically, they didn't cut a tall, lean figure like runway models. Average height hovered around 1.65 meters, but what they lacked in height, they more than made up for in sheer build. Bones significantly denser and thicker than modern humans, broader joints, and a chest circumference that rivaled a wine barrel. Their muscular development actually outstripped professional modern weightlifters, without a single gym within a radius of several thousand years. That strength wasn't forged by hoisting iron, it was carved out by survival pressure. Back then, putting meat on the table meant gripping heavy wooden spears and wading straight into hand-to-hand combat with wild animals at close quarters. When an Olympic wrestler attempts a shoulder lock on a Neanderthal, he'll feel like he's trying to snap a railroad rail in half. Not because Neanderthals had supernatural power, but because their joints spent a lifetime absorbing impact from animals 10 times their size. A modern human's entire technical arsenal would barely register as a warm-up stretch. On the weightlifting platform, the story doesn't change. Nobody shatters the world record one-handed. Even Neanderthals run up against physiological ceilings. But scientists estimate their muscle output significantly outpaced modern humans across major muscle groups. The kicker, modern athletes burn years of training just to peak, while Neanderthals hit that level simply by staying alive. That said, Neanderthals carried one glaring Achilles' heel: endurance. Their powerhouse build burned through energy at a ferocious rate, and their respiratory system was wired for short, explosive bursts, not extended bouts. Come the third round, when modern athletes are still calmly plotting their next move, a Neanderthal would already be gasping for air. Raw power only carries you so far. Where Neanderthals reigned in explosive events, the marathon throne belongs to an entirely different species, archaic Homo sapiens, our direct ancestors. Modern humans love to parade their air-cushioned running shoes with a price tag to match. But our ancestors were already equipped with a cooling system that evolution had been fine-tuning for millions of years. Nearly hairless skin, packing the highest sweat gland density of any mammal on Earth. This is the biological backbone of the persistence hunting hypothesis. Four-legged animals explode off the line at blistering speed, but they can't sweat across their entire body, so they're forced to pull up and pant to shed the heat. Our ancestors needed only to steadily chase their prey under a punishing sun for 4 straight hours. The prey would bolt, then stall, overcome by heat. The prehistoric human just kept churning forward, sweating, cooling, closing the gap. Eventually, the prey crumpled from heat stroke. Step onto the Olympic marathon course, and the contest becomes a razor-sharp chess match. On flat asphalt, modern athletes like Eliud Kipchoge, armed with a scientifically engineered stride, would likely surge ahead on pace. But flip the format to a trail marathon, tearing through mud pits, scrambling over rock faces, fighting through thorny scrub, and prehistoric humans would leave us eating their dust. Bare feet with a flexible gripping toe structure and finely tuned oxygen delivery would turn that brutal obstacle course into a relaxed afternoon run. Off the sun-hammered track and into the Olympic pool. Here, the fortunes of our two prehistoric species split dramatically. The same Neanderthal who just bulldozed the weightlifting platform would hit a wall the moment he stepped into the water. Anatomical researchers have established that extreme bone density and near-zero body fat gave Neanderthals genuinely poor natural buoyancy. They wouldn't plunge to the bottom like a stone, but they'd be burning double the energy of modern humans just to keep their head above the surface. Their swimming was built for survival, not speed. Archaic Homo sapiens, on the other hand, carried lighter bone structure and a naturally hydrodynamic frame. Coastal populations had racked up thousands of years of freediving to harvest seafood. Archaeological evidence points to exceptional lung capacity and ear bones hardened to withstand deep water pressure. They might not carve through the water with Michael Phelps's textbook stroke, but their breath-hold ability and the raw pulling power from their lats would drive them through the water like a mini submarine. To them, an Olympic pool, glassy and perfectly still, would feel laughably tame compared to the storm-lashed seas they conquered every day. And then there's the javelin throw, an event that practically reeks of prehistory just from the name. In the modern games, athletes launch a hollow, featherweight javelin across a manicured grass field while officials measure the distance. For prehistoric humans, a missed throw meant the whole tribe went to bed hungry. Or worse, they suddenly had to stare down a wounded and furious animal at arm's length. That pressure, stacked across hundreds of thousands of years, sculpted an anatomical masterpiece. The Homo sapiens shoulder joint is the most sophisticated throwing mechanism in all of nature. Researchers at Harvard University found that the human shoulder stores elastic energy in tendons and ligaments, then unleashes it in a violent, high-speed rotational burst, a mechanism that sets us completely apart from chimpanzees or any other primate. Hand a prehistoric human an aerodynamically optimized Olympic javelin, lighter and better balanced than anything he'd ever gripped, and something remarkable ignites. Muscle memory sharpened on the edge of life and death, fused with a cutting-edge instrument. The exact distance? Anyone's guess. But the raw velocity and explosive release force would almost certainly turn heads. The only snag: the organizing committee would spend a considerable amount of time convincing him that the drone buzzing overhead is a camera, not a plump bird ripe for the taking, and that launching his javelin straight at it is, per competition regulations, firmly off the table. If this sporting spectacle were real, the medal standings would make for riveting reading. Neanderthals, locking down short-burst power events. Archaic Homo sapiens, sweeping endurance races, and the javelin. Modern humans? We'd hold our own and pull decisively ahead in events that reward technique, tactical thinking, and scientific refinement. High-skill competitive swimming, Olympic weightlifting demanding razor-precise form, or any discipline where intelligence bridges the gap that muscle alone can't close. What genuinely stops you in your tracks is this: the body you inhabit right now, the way it pours sweat to stave off heat exhaustion, the shoulder architecture that lets you hurl a stone dead on target, every bit of it is premium engineering handed down from the undisputed champions of the Ice Age. Own that, because you are the next link in a lineage stretching back to the most legendary hunters this planet has ever produced. Thanks for sticking with us to the end. If this hit the spot, smash that like and subscribe so you don't miss what we cook up next.